What's going on? Thank y'all for tuning in. This is Kane CEO with another episode of Just Saying podcast. But so today I ran across a video. I'm not familiar with who the individual is. Apparently Douglas Murray explains what woke is in 3 minutes. Now, the reason why I decided to do a video to this is simple. I see a lot of content creators as far as I want to say Caucasian content creators. A lot of them are always right wing. They use the term woke, and it's a lot of black people on that side of the aisle. Excuse me, who does the same thing. They're quick to throw around the word woke and the woke this and woke that and the woke this and the woke that, but I've never understood how they compare the movement of what it meant to be woke and what it actually meant, how they're using it. And it's kind of one of the reasons why I quit using the term I'm woke and quit using the word woke in general. We actually say conscious because of the stigma and all of the weird things that have been tied to the community who actually are woke to what's going on. Now, I'm gonna let him play his. I'm gonna play his little sound bite, 3 minutes or whatever, 3 minutes or 8 seconds. We're gonna discuss it. I don't know if I'll break it down depending on what he say. I might pause it in between just to see what he says and try to react to it, simply because I want to see the ignorance and I like to see people who pretend to be smarter than they are. So it's interesting. So let's get right into it. Douglas Murray explains what it is to be woke.
That they believe, for instance, that being a woman should be merely the first step in a wider mission to bring down capitalism. Now, I don't think most women are on board with that, and most women would be rather surprised to be utilized in this fashion. But that is very clearly and explicitly, and I quote the various scholars and writers who've been pushing this for years, this is explicitly the aim. It's a basis for madness.
Huh?
When people say the gay community, who are you talking about? It's like women think this. Oh, really? 50% of the species all agree on something. Blacks say this. Really? Now, this is, let me put it another way. If somebody said, I don't know, I just love the working class. Who?
Yeah.
I just love the middle class. Who? I love the upper class. Who are you talking about? And it's the same with this. Why would we be falling for this interpretation of society as depending solely or primarily on interest groups based on gender/sex, sexual orientation, race, and a bit more? Why would we be doing that? Why would we be taking the individualism out of individuals and lumping them in these demonstrably incoherent bodies that don't even exist? They don't even exist. The LGBT community, take me to your leader. Come on. And it's why, as I say, you can always predict exactly who is going to latch onto the latest claim. When, for instance, the big bearded man with male genitalia wins the women's weightlifting competition, you can predict with 100% accuracy who is going to say, yeah, what's the problem with that? And the people who are going to say, I'm not sure Clive, the big weightlifter, should be winning the women's category. You can predict it. And the people who say, why have you got a problem with that, bigot, are always the same people who believed in the past that our societies needed to be pulled apart in another fashion. And now they'd like to do it in this fashion. It has this hideous red interior which keeps exposing itself as desiring not a better relationship between ourselves and our environment, but, for instance, the end of capitalism.
Yeah.
This new morality we're trying to construct relies on us pretending we know about things that we don't know about, trans, and simultaneously demands that we pretend not to know about things that we all knew till yesterday.
Now, I don't know if that's Douglas's interpretation of woke, or if that's what they titled it. But that shit was cringy as fuck. All right, let's try to start this and figure out what the fuck he was talking about, I guess.
That they believe, for instance, that being a woman should be merely the first step in a wider mission to bring down capitalism. Now,
he say they. Who, Douglas? Who are they? They believe women should be the first step into bringing down capitalism. I don't even know what he's talking about right there to even try to exercise any brain power to deliver any decisiveness or to help you understand what the fuck he's trying to say here. I don't have any clue. Who say these things? And how would they use women to bring down capitalism? Now, okay, what I've taken from this whole thing before I reversed it and want to go through it again, simply because I'm so fucking lost and don't know what the hell he was talking about almost. But I think what it is he put so many thoughts together in a 188-second span to where he had to try to backpedal and not hurt the feelings of or get himself canceled in certain ways. So he's trying to sugarcoat and talk and be politically correct, but you can't be PC when you're going against the individuals who you say are trying to make you PC. So it's weird that he is contradicting himself consistently. Now, though I do not have I went into this with the intentions of saying, hey, look, I want to hear what he described as woke. I want to know what he thinks woke means. But this is not even from an American standpoint. This is from a British person standpoint. So from an Englishman, he already has no fucking clue because he's just basically he's on politics and thinks he's on TV. So I will try to deconstruct what he said somewhat if I can figure it out. If anybody can figure it out, help me out. We're going to translate this or whatever interpreters we're using for the deaf and blind to come in. Let's get this going because I need everybody's help on this one. So with that being said, let's go into what he was trying to say.
That they believe, for instance, that being
so he's big, he's good with pronouns. He likes pronouns because he say they.
A woman should be merely the first step in a wider mission to
But he also say woman, so he can't be a pronoun.
Bring down capitalism. Now,
women can't bring down capitalism. Women are competitive within each other. If a lot of women ran the world, if a lot of women ran these Fortune 500 companies, it'd be a lot of bickering internally. It'd be a lot of emotions on the line. It'd be a lot of anger. I'm just saying. I'm not being an asshole. I'm just saying. Women are evil when it comes to other women. So other women in power, chasing other women in power, they're a different type of competitive than men. Men are competitive via sportsmanship. Women are competitive via cat-like. Take everything from you. You ever seen a woman break up with a man? And you ever heard the shit she say to a man whenever she's angry? I guarantee you the things she say to other women, especially if it's power driven, it will be way worse.
I don't think most women are on board with that, and most women would be rather surprised to be utilized in this fashion.
I don't even understand what he's saying. Why he even said that part.
But that is very clearly and explicitly, and I quote the various scholars and writers who've been pushing this for years, this is explicitly the aim. It's a basis for madness. When people say the gay community, who are you talking about?
They're talking about the gay community. Kind of sums it up. The gay community.
It's like women think this. Oh, really?
Yeah. Women think a lot of things. And I know so because I know a lot of women. Mothers, my sisters, my old lady.
50% of the species all agree on something.
No one never said that.
Blacks say this.
Blacks? Is that their last name? I know a few blacks. Ben, John. There's a couple of them. It's quite a few of them. A lot of blacks. But I don't know that. I don't know just because they share the same last name, if that makes them think the same. That's kind of weird to think so.
Really?
Right.
Now, this is. Let me put it another way. If somebody said, I don't know, I just love the working class. Who?
Yeah.
The working class, people who go out there every day and work, make sure America's foundational basis is taken care of. The people who actually keep this country running, the working class.
I just love the middle class. Who? I love
the middle class, the individuals who keep this company running, the doctors, the lawyers, the pharmaceuticals. I don't like including them. Probably really didn't like including them. The firefighters, the paramedics, the individuals who make a certain amount of money and hold a certain position in the community of to where you feel proud to be around them. The middle class, the working class, the blue collars.
I love the upper class. Who are you talking about?
The individuals who have money, the individuals who can put you in better positions so you can learn from, gain business knowledge from, gain some kind of education from, financial literacy from, but then build your own platform. That's who they love. I mean, you literally answering every question. Like when you say who are you, you're asking us to answer a question that at the beginning gave us the answer to. When they say they like McDonald's, what McDonald's? The motherfuckers that sell chickens. What are you talking about here, buddy? I mean, I get that he really wanted to have something to say, but he has zero to say and a lot of chances to say it. So he's saying a whole bunch of bullshit. So like, I don't understand this video. How many views did this video get? It had 3.2 million views, 57,000 likes. That means that there are 57,000 dummies who saw this video and thought it was great. Like, you know what? This is what he's saying. It makes a lot of fucking sense, buddy. Fucking A. Fucking like it. In fact, you know what? Just to break the monotony, there, I fucking give it a thumbs down. And I'll say, oh man, I almost started doing this. Let's see. Aha. Aha. That's it. Just something simple. Ha. Thumbs down, laugh. I keep the algorithm going a little bit, just so I can really come back and see it. But my point is this. What the fuck is he even talking about? Like, this is the reality, bro. The term woke comes from the 1960s and 70s. Actually, before then, but we'll just stem it back to the 60s and 70s. The woke come from the individuals from the black community, from the Pan-African community, who were actually what they called woke to the evils of the world. You weren't sleeping being part of the zombies. You weren't being led like sheep. So you were woke and you weren't sleep. That's what that means. It means that you can't pull the wool over my eyes because I'm not sleeping. I'm wide awake. I see it all. I see everything. I see everything being put in its position. I see every plan that's being put into formation. I see it all. That's what woke means. It means to be evil. It means to be alert and conscious of the evils, the negativity, the racism, and the religions of the world. It's to learn the difference between what's good for you and what's detrimental, what helps you and what hinders you. That's the difference. That's what woke means. It was a terminology. It was a word and terminology used by black people for other black people who are conscious, who are spiritual, and do not choose to partake in certain things. What up with that, master? So don't get me wrong. I don't. How can I say this? Individuals piggyback on terms. The same way that you have people who we had like 3 years of everybody saying literally. Now we're gonna have another 3 years of everybody saying gaslighting. You're gaslighting me, and it's gonna be another 3 years of whatever terminology. But in these time frames, we also have words like woke who've been taken advantage of because people push certain things and they call themselves woke. It's not woke to be to practice gay rights, because that goes against what the Pan-Africans believed in. Because in order to practice gay rights, you practice the understanding that you don't want to create generations. And that is not what the Pan-Africans were about. They were about generations. Because if you take away generations of people, pretty soon that's called population control. And we didn't believe in population control because that means that's the execution of individuals. Now, when people say these things, I don't think they understand where the words, the etymology of these phrases and words come from. So they use them just because they hear everyone else saying it, and they think that it's cool and normal. But the reality is, being woke does not mean to be gay. It does not mean to be LGBT. It means to be away from that, furthest away from that as possible, because you know that what happens with multiple generations of that, and what that can do to individuals. Let's say you had, let's say 75% of the Hispanic community end up being gay. How many kids in the Hispanic community would be born? And then the next generation, from those kids who were born, let's say 75% of them were gay. How many generations before the Hispanic community is totally wiped out? It's called population control, and that's how it works. So no, the woke community is not about drag queens and gay rights. That's not what the woke community is about. It's about seeing these things as being detrimental to your health and to your future and to generations. That's not what the woke community is about. So individuals like Douglas Murray and a lot of the right wing who just throw the word around because they want to use it as fear tactics. The reality is this: the black community, the black conscious community, the spiritual community, do not call themselves woke anymore because of people like that. So we use the terms conscious. We see the things around us that are good for us and bad for us, and we either express them or we educate. That's it. There's no evil, there's no anger, there's just, hey, you see this happening to you? Stop letting it happen. Wake up. See the evils of the world. See it for what it is so you can learn how to play the game like you're supposed to play it. And you're playing it from the hands of a pawn. And you can wake up and become a king. That's it. It's not telling people to go and have sex with the same sex. It's not any of that. The actual meaning behind woke was to be spiritual. Was if you see someone who needed help, you help them. If you see someone who needed education, you educate them. You know what I mean? Somebody having a bad day, you talk to them, counsel them. Become the brother to the individual who never had a brother. Become the uncle to the person who never had an uncle. Become the father to the kids who never had fathers. I don't mean go out there and be their fathers. I mean when you see them and they need help, you assist them. Teach them how to play basketball. Teach them how to play baseball. Teach them how to play football. Teach them how to read. Teach them how to do math, because the community is what it led. And during these time frames where people were saying woke, they were big on community. We were big on the neighborhoods, and then eventually, through mass incarcerations, through a lot of evils and planning and tactical bullshit, we lost the neighbors and it just became the hood. So the individuals who you see are individuals who are pretty much just the skeletons left. So the woke community is not tied to what you see. It's tied to it's the conscious community. It's the ones that's trying to rebuild and try to make sure everybody understands the difference between taking advantage of and taking. I don't know, man. It's this dude right here though. It's really fucking weird.
And it's the same with this. Why would we be
J. Rowe, what's up, bro?
would we be falling for this interpretation of society as depending solely or primarily on interest groups based on gender/sex, sexual orientation, race, and a bit more? Why would we be doing that? Why would we be taking the individualism out of individuals? And
I'm gonna say something. Don't incorporate race when it comes to that. When they talk about when he discussed the sex aspect of it, I get that, because people don't want, they call themselves fluid or whatever. They said there's a spectrum when there's not a spectrum. There's only one and two. There's either A or B. There's no QFG and all the other shit that go along with it. It's just A and B. That's it. But the reality is, when it comes to black people, I have two ways of looking at it. One way is, I'm proud of all the black people who actually made it into situations that most of us couldn't make it in. Super proud of you. I love to see where the black firefighters run a whole fire department. I love to see black police departments. I love to see mayors. I love to see black growth everywhere productively. I love to see black growth in places that can also create economic. They create better economics and economic freedom for individuals in those communities that previously wouldn't have had those privileges. So I like to see individuals get opportunities and create opportunities. A, but B, I don't like the fact that we have to categorize it as the first black person to do something. When you categorize it as the first black person to do something, it kind of takes away from the fact that you're just great at doing it. That's just my personal opinion. But I'm glad to see that there's a lot of black people who achieve greatness. Just don't call yourself the first black person to do it. Just say, hey, look, I've done this and this is my history. Your history, I mean, your accolades are your accolades. We don't have to acknowledge them. We know you're the first black person to do it. And I'm grateful to see that. We're grateful to see it. But I'm not saying that all positions, I'm only saying this some. Like if you tell me this is the first black quarterback to throw this many yards. All right, cool. Whatever. Cool. We already know the reason why we didn't throw that many yards because racism. The most quarterbacks were told that most quarterbacks who were black coming into the NFL were turned into wide receivers or running backs because they only wanted the quarterbacks white. So that's not really a big deal because we already knew that we could outthrow anybody. This is just common sense. I run the game and passing game is stupendous. Look at the NFL right now when it comes to quarterbacks. Some of the greatest right now are in the playoffs. And CJ Stroud, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. But like, it's just, I don't know, man. I don't know. He got this dude right here fucking me, got me ranting, man. He got me fucking rambling. My thing is, there's a time and a place for everything. I love to see people grow. I love to see people have fun. I love to see people enjoy life. I love to see people learn. And I love it. I would love to see individuals like this take more time to research what they're going to say, especially if you're going to do that, bro. Wear a belt.
Them in these demonstrably incoherent bodies that don't even exist. They don't even exist.
So remember what he said: black bodies don't exist.
They don't even exist. The LGBT community. Take me to your leader. Come on.
I don't even know where
and
that
it's
came
why,
from.
as I say, you can always predict exactly who is going to latch onto the latest claim. When for instance, the big bearded man with male genitalia wins the women's weightlifting competition, you can predict with 100% accuracy who is going to say, yeah, what's the problem?
Now, this part I fully understand because when it comes to certain aspects, I think there's places that men don't belong. As a man, I know there are places that I do not belong. And I don't believe that any man can put on any clothing, have any surgery, or consider himself a woman. That is not possible. Simply because I watched what my woman went through to have my kids. I watched what my mama went through to raise me, and my little brother and my little sister. I watched what my grandma went through to raise her family. I watched what my aunties went through to raise their family, and my sisters and my cousins who went through to raise their families. Actual, genuine women. You can never compete with them. You can never become a woman and be on the same pedestal as a woman. It's just a man in cosplay. That's it. Women can never be men. It should be women in cosplay. That's it. The reason why is because we are built to experience lives differently. It just so happened that we're in a time right now that most people forget the reason why we got to the place that we are. Now, granted, some of the things he's trying to hint on a lot of things and say a bunch of it in 188 seconds, but he can't land because he don't have anybody to go back and forth with. All he hears is a yes, indubitably, and that's not working for him. He needed somebody to actually give him some wordplay, or somebody to write something down for him.
Problem with that, and the people who are going to say, I'm not sure Clive, the big weightlifter, should be winning the women's category.
And he shouldn't.
You can predict it. And the people who say...
It's not that you can predict it. It's common sense. You have individuals in the world who believe that men can be women. And you have people in the world who believe that men can't be women, who know that men can't be women. All you got to do is if a person says, hey, man can be a woman, then you know that he believes that Clive should be in the Women's League of Wrestlers and bodybuilders. If you see as an individual who don't believe in that, then you know that he don't believe that Clyde should be out there working with the weights, and that's just how it goes. It's common fucking sense. What he say, like people like to throw a lot of small, tedious, miscellaneous, fun. You know what I'm saying, facts in there that everybody can feel. You relate to. But then they feel those are fillers because everything else is just bullshit.
Why have you got a problem with that, bigot? Are always the same people who believed in the past that our societies needed to be pulled apart in another fashion.
And I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but I'm gonna tell you something. In the words of Dr. King, I think our people were led into a burning house. We should have stayed segregated. Ha ha. We should have stayed segregated. And that's gonna hurt a lot of people's feelings. And I say that and I mean that. And the reason why I mean that is because the moment we start integrating, we lost all of our businesses. We don't have our own cab companies. We don't have our own bus line. We don't have our own movie theaters. We don't have our own hospitals. We don't have our own schools. We don't have our own post office. We don't have our own libraries like we used to. Everything we had, we gave up to go shop at the white man's version of it. We left all of our stuff behind because we didn't think ours was good enough. So we had to go and spend our money, ride the buses. Like the whole movement for Rosa Parks was because they wanted to ride the white man buses. Could have rode a bike. I'm not being funny, but we didn't need anybody else. We already had our own businesses. True, our buildings were get bombed. We were gonna treat like shit, but we could have got the same equality. If we could have got the equality, a decent form of equality as opposed to integration, we've been all right. You just left us the fuck alone, let us live, and you live. We've been all right. But it couldn't work like that. It couldn't work like that because in order to create capitalism and dominate racially and keep racism alive, you had to bring everybody together and create the integration. That's the reason why people like Malcolm were looked as a target and looked at as bad guys, were as opposed to people like Dr. King, Dr. Michael Luther King, who y'all call Martin Luther King. Dr. Michael Luther King is his real name. He wanted integration up until he realized it was wrong. That's why one of his final sentences was, "I feel like I led my people into a burning house." To burn a building, actually, but burning house. So with that being said, like there's nothing wrong with being separate. Like when black people came, and I say this and I mean this, when we were introduced to going to the suburbs, our family, our mothers, some of them were single mothers, and who they made excuses for the fathers not being there. They'll say things like, he's out working and somewhere else, or it was always something. Or even if the father was there, they always made it to where they had to emulate the white counterparts. They couldn't bring African culture to the suburbs. They couldn't bring things that were black, quote unquote black, to the suburbs. The way we talked, the way we walked, the way we dressed. We couldn't bring that to the suburbs. You had to emulate the white counterparts because you didn't want them to feel uncomfortable or see you as a threat or a target. So you had to make sure that you went above and beyond to look like them, dress like them, talk like them, walk like them, emulate them. So then what you did was you found a big disconnect between the African culture and the black culture and the suburban and the suburban culture, because the next generation was raised with you thinking that's a normality where you have to fit in like that. So then they do. So then your children trying to fit in. Now we're looking at this at the going into the 80s, and then they teach their children the same thing. They have to fit in. That goes into the 90s. Then it teaches the next generation, same thing, and the next generation. So by the time we get to now, everything that was implemented, whether it be the hypersexualization, whether it be the anger, the depression, the anxiety, all the mental illnesses that comes along with trying to find self and find balance, all the things that go along with that, they inherit it. So, and then again, trying to emulate cultures, you inherited those through generations. I know it hurts feelings when I say this to people, but there's a big separation between the black culture and white culture. The things that we will and won't do. In fact, I'm gonna show you a video. This video is weird as shit. Watch this. I think that's what it's called. Watch this.
Yeah, we called it Ookie Cookie. It was just a lighthearted drinking game we used to play in college. Harmless, really. This is the funny part. Everyone pulls out their unit and starts feverishly self-stimulating with the goal to not be the last one that finishes on the cookie because the last person to finish is then obligated to eat the cookie in its entirety. You know, having said that out loud,
Now I'm gonna try that one more time. I'm gonna try to hear what he's saying. Cause I say it's a big difference in the culture. It's a big difference.
yeah, we called it Ookie Cookie. It was just a lighthearted drinking game we used to play in college. Harmless, really. This is the funny part. Everyone pulls out their unit.
He says the
starts
funny part.
Feverishly self-stimulating with the goal to not be the last one that finishes on the cookie because the last person to finish is then obligated to eat the cookie in its entirety. You know, having said that out loud, all these years later, it almost sounds a little gay.
Almost. Watch this. Watch this. I can't. I'm just trying to find this video. It was. It was a bunch of white dudes sitting around, and they were talking about how they do things around each other. They fondle themselves around each other, and they say, "Dude, you know, black people don't do that." They were really upset, like pissed off and confused. Like they were really confused. And oh my god, I wish I could find that video. I wish I could find that fucking video. That was so fucking hilarious. Oh my god. But I'm not gonna hold you guys up, man. My whole point was there's a big difference in the culture. We are not the same type of people. We don't not chase the